It's hard to believe that it's been a year already.
It is hard to believe. It has been an entire year since the terrible tragedy that rocked the small town of Dayton, Iowa. 12-year-old Desi Hughes and 15-year-old Kathleen Shepard were both abducted while walking home from school. Desi escaped, but Kathleen's body was not found for weeks. 1 year later, KCCI's Laura Nichols shows us how Kathleen's family is doing. Laura.
Steve, the pain and heartache has not gone away. The Shepards are still trying to cope with the loss of their daughter and use what happened to make sure no other child experiences the horror that Kathleen did.
Stuff like this isn't supposed to happen in a small town. Kathleen she had a trusting personality. They could see their house from where they were. There is no reason for him to do what he did.
I hate him. I hate what he represents. I hate what he did.
It's a nightmare Mike and Denise Shepard have been living for a year now.
Sometimes you wake up and still you realize after you've woken up that she's not here.
In a house full of reminders of what they've lost.
A couple days ago, I went to go get some tea out of the refrigerator, and I have a picture of her when she was just little, and all of a sudden it just hit me, and I started crying right there in the kitchen.
Kathleen Shepard would have turned 16 this past October.
Every once in a while, I just think, she's never going to, graduate from high school, go to college, get married, have kids of her own. It just, from time to time, it hits me to where I can't
breathe.
Yeah.
Now knowing the details of what Michael Klunder did to their daughter at this hog confinement has also at times left the Shepards breathless.
It's the worst thing that anybody could ever have to do is read an autopsy report about a loved one.
But they also know it didn't happen easily. We're now learning for the first time that authorities say Klunder had a partial black eye and bruises, a sure sign Kathleen fought to the end.
I know that she did everything that was within her power to make sure that he was going to pay for whatever.
12-year-old Desi Hughes managed to escape that day. But it took 18 days of exhaustive searches to find Kathleen's body in the Des Moines River.
Still have a difficult time. I'm not really ready to let her go.
And neither is the town of Dayton. Purple banners, wreaths, and ribbons still cover every corner.
These are all the shirts that she wore on a regular basis.
Someone even sent this keepsake.
Choir shirt.
Yep, that's the back of this one right here. She used to wear that all the time.
Others have sent newspaper clippings or angel statues. All have found a permanent home in this cabinet. But in this house full of memories and Kathleen's favorite things, there is still one thing missing, the feeling of justice.
I feel ripped off. I didn't get justice. I didn't get to look him in the eye.
Michael Klunder killed himself before anyone could ask him why.
I wanted to look into his eyes. I wanted to look into the eyes of my daughter's killer because I wanted to see what the last thing my daughter saw was.
He was a coward, and as far as I'm concerned, even though he might not have looked like a monster, he was.
Klunder had a violent criminal past. In 1992, he was sentenced to 41 years in prison for 2 previous kidnapping convictions.
Kathleen would still be here if it wasn't for the time off for good behavior. That's what got Klunder out of prison early.
Because his convictions didn't carry a mandatory sentence, Klunder ended up only serving 18 of that 41-year sentence when he was released in February 2011.
Thrown out the window completely.
The Shepards have spent the past year urging lawmakers to get rid of time off for good behavior when it comes to violent predators. But some lawmakers say it's the only incentive for inmates to go through treatment.
Treatment helps reduce future criminal acts, and that's why we need an incentive for inmates to have treatment.
But the Shepards feel differently.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna hear they can be reformed because they can't.
It's a battle the Shepards didn't win this year, but one they say they'll continue to fight.
This is something that we think that Kathleen would definitely want. One of the last things that she said to Desi is, "We didn't deserve this." And she's right.
Now, there are some things lawmakers did agree on this legislative session. The first thing they did was make a sex offense committed by a juvenile a crime that qualifies for civil commitment. They also lengthened the sentences for child kidnapping cases. And Steve, even though they didn't get anywhere with this time off for good behavior, the Shepherds are hoping that it will get brought up next legislative session and that it will just go somewhere.
Yeah, it's good to see that they're still fighting. Nice job. Very difficult story to do.